feminist movement that took place in 2018 shifted the view of mental health and the needs of women everywhere. A call-out that dragged women's issues into the light, yet somehow the all-around good of presenting women with opportunity for mental care had unforeseen consequences on the pendulum's backswing. With women being the main research and focus for mental health as a field, men are often researched as gender-neutral data, leading to more comprehensive care for women. Mental health struggles are often different in the genders as well. The coping behaviors present behind these are found to be profoundly gendered between the binary, though not exclusive. Men often are angry at themselves, their situation, or the various factors that interweave between their stresses and cause them to become anxious or depressed. As a result, they will cope doing things like heavy drugs or alcohol, or simply devolving into violent or angry outbursts. These are blamed on the men and even the young boys that explicitly show these symptoms and treat it as a character issue, where the male in question, regardless of age, is required to fix himself. Women are more likely to exhibit traditional symptoms, however, and as a result, their depressive or apathetic attitudes are picked up on and more likely to be met with care. Often, they will be given more slack for these from peers and professionals as well, where a man may find himself being asked how he could amend himself rather than comforted or neutrally allowed to vent. This idea leads into the stigmatization faced, where the very idea of seeking help is more commonly acceptable amongst women than men, as well as the stigma against them as a whole. They see seeking or requiring mental help as too feminine. Unfortunately, as the weight of their stress and their societal image begin to clash, they become even more likely to commit suicide, but are once again stopped by the stigma of man suffering so badly they took their own lives. This leaves them at step 1 of their perceived masculinity, requiring their suffering. The cycle will continue until there is no stigma that can prevent the inevitable catastrophe if left in this loop without intervention. These victims are held responsible for their own suffering as well, as they are conflated with their gender as the reason for mental health services. Usually that they have created society and all its woes, so how could they seek shelter from what they did? Often this is said with zero acknowledgement that these statements are not only incredibly sexist, as they imply that all men are responsible for anything done before their birth, but ultimately lead to deeper stigmas against men that do ache for help. Men that do perpetuate this are given a pass to continue as well, with the excuse of, well, he's just a man, he wouldn't understand. This double standard is a slap in the face for a male regardless of age to experience, whether it be online, casually in person, or professionally from therapists and psychiatrists, as the implication of original sin being exclusively male alienates men from ever reaching out to anyone, even close family and friends. This stigma causes more men of any race to be more than 4 times more likely to successfully take their own lives, with white and Indian men making up a vast majority of cases. The success rate is explicitly due to the cycle mentioned before, as the loop eventually breaks and the needed cry for help never comes. Comparably, women of any race are less likely to successfully commit, often due to fear of pain or due to the attempt being a metered but intensely serious cry for help. These suicides are often ignored by mainstream media or in many cases celebrated on social media. Though social media does not represent the majority and instead houses an amplifier for the loudest minority ideal, people actively dissonant to their blanket statements will turn around and condemn someone for simply being the same gender as someone they dislike. The mental effect of this on people is the internalization of misandry or the development of misogyny, and then these go on to become expounded upon in real-life discourse. The solution, in my opinion, is to degender mental health and instead approach this as a health issue, instead of a women's or a man's issue specifically, as externalizing and internalizing behaviors are found in opposite genders and therefore are not gender explicit, but only commonly found, meaning men too can have depression. This alone should be an indicator that the latent coping behaviors are less linked specifically to either gender and instead have more to do with their upbringing, social circles, and personal beliefs. Men also need to be given a chance in their media to find that they are okay with having these stressors, and that finding someone to vent to or paying to receive care is the correct course of action that still allows them to be the perfect husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons that they aspire to be.